Hi, this is Dan LL. In the week ending February, starting March this year 2019, I was in the Netherlands. I did travel by car. This is me right here in this picture. This is the car I did use. It's a Jeep Renegade from 2015. Some would say it's not particularly stylish, but it has trendy features and a great interior. It is meant to be a nostalgic car for Jeep. It is the multi-jet longitude version that works on diesel with an engine capacity of 1.6 liters. 16 valves. It is a front-wheel drive vehicle with manual transmission having up to 6 gears. The picture on screen was taken in Rotterdam city. My journey in this series of videos starts not from Rotterdam, where I had been and where I had lived in the past, but from Delft city, 20 minutes away, where I had visited a friend and happened to be on my departure date. This Google map shows the route I have to take, passing through several cities and towns up to Dunkirk and then crossing from Dunkirk to Dover, and from Dover driving all the way to Ely in Cambridgeshire. In the past, I did use this route twice without any incident, the last time being in December 2016. Will it be the same this time around? Today, watch and find out. The picture on screen was one I snapped before departure from Dover to Dunkirk a few days ago. It was from inside the ferry. My journey here will be the opposite way, and before I go on to the journey, let me just show you a few things. This is the inside of the ferry. There are 2 or 3 floors with seats or lounges where you could sit and lie down to rest. There are also a handful of restaurants. This one is one of them, I believe. And this here is an open section of the deck where smokers usually hang about. For those who have never before traveled to Europe by car and wish to do so, there are a few things that I wish to mention. First is the use of headlamp adapters or converters. You could order these adapters online before traveling, but if you haven't done so, no worries, you'd find them in the ferry shop. You would also need a GB sticker. Some people don't think it's really that important, but it is. It is, because other drivers in Europe would be considerate of you and drive carefully when near you. But most importantly, you would need an insurance cover. That is a breakdown cover for travel through Europe that should cost you an average of 30 quid for that single trip. Now, before going on to the journey, I feel I'm obliged to say something about Delft city, where I started. Delft is about an hour from Amsterdam, which lies to the north. It is perhaps well known today for its technical university. In this picture, you see part of the university complex. Left in the picture, you see part of the administrative building in the background, while to the right, what looks like the biblical Noah's Ark is the university auditorium for lectures and perhaps gatherings. Facing the auditorium is the iconic university library, which is close to where the bicycles are. What you see here is the back side, where the entrance is also located. But this one here is the front side. It's the street view. I did visit this library a few times in the past. It's one of those great libraries I've been to in that country. While I was a student in Rotterdam, or later on, just for some research. Next, what you see is the last remaining gates of the city, It's the East Gate, which was built in the Middle Ages. There where the dark figure is, a cyclist, is a drawbridge, a modernized metal bridge. Lastly, we all know that the Netherlands is a country well known for having great painters in the past. Well, Delft has its own. That's Jan Vermeer. This is a self-portrait of Jan Vermeer, whose official name was Johannes Vermeer. He was born in Delft city in 1632, where he also died in 1675. The era in which he did his paintings is known as the Baroque Dutch Golden Age. It was a time of greatness in almost all walks of life. For example, in science, trade, art, and the military. It was also the same period when the great Rembrandt van Rijn did his paintings. Jan Vermeer was not well known during his time. It was in the 19th century that he became famous. What you see here is one of his paintings of the city of Delft during his time in the Middle Ages. Today, his paintings can be seen at the Maurits House in Den Haag, or The Hague, and also at the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam. Now let's get back to my journey to Dunkirk. The journey started from Delft at about noontime CET time. CET, that's Central European time. The journey was to take 3 hours from experience, and my ferry was to leave at 4 p.m. Arrival time in the UK would be 2 hours after 4, which is 18 hours CET or 17 hours GMT. These here are the coordinates I did receive with my electronic reservation confirmation letter. It is for the ferry terminal at Dunkirk. The place, as best as I can pronounce it, is called Loon Plage. The journey starts in the following footage.
Yeah, I was adjusting it wouldn't accept the speed, but I did this one, it worked.
Yeah, I did.
The navigation, like last time.
Okay.
Yeah. Telling me here, telling me I should arrive close to 4.
Close to 4.
Yeah, I was hoping to arrive before, look, quarter to 4. So I have to go like that. Yeah. Thank you, see you.
I was talking to this friend or brother I had visited in Delft City, not far from the university. It's noontime, somewhat sunny, and so here starts my journey to Dunkirk in France. footage on leaving Delft City ends here. I didn't have enough recording material, so I lost most of my recorded journey through the Netherlands and Belgium. The next video will start somewhere in France on the border with Belgium. Before jumping to that video, I also feel obligated to say something about Rotterdam City, which I had visited. Here was where I did earn my first degree. There have been changes from when I used to live there. What you see is a picture of a section of the city taken from the Euromast Tower. This is one of the harbors in Rotterdam City, as it is called over there. What you see in this picture is one of the many harbors on the River Meuse or New Maas in Rotterdam City. And on both sides of the river are tall buildings, perhaps businesses. In this picture, taken at about the same time as the previous one, from the Euromast, about 185 meters above ground level, you see a ship docked at a harbor. I'll show you a few more interesting pictures before going back to the journey. Here you have a river taxi boat. These are old sailboats, more of them. This one here is the Euromast, and that section, boat-like section in the middle, is where a restaurant is and where I had stood to take the previous pictures. This sign says "Welcome to Rotterdam," and here is a statue of the scholar Desiderius Erasmus. He was known as the greatest scholar of the Northern Renaissance. He was born in Rotterdam in the Middle Ages, but he lived elsewhere in Europe, for example, at Oxford in England, where he taught for a while, in Leuven, Belgium, in Paris, and in Switzerland, where he died. The time he lived was during the great reformations in the church started by Martin Luther. This here is one of the landmark buildings in Rotterdam, next to the Black train station. Here is a Ferris wheel at the Black station, and it's one of the latest architectural or amusement additions to the city. It wasn't there when I used to live there. This one here is the newly built bucket hall, which is spacious on the inside like an aeroplane hangar, and it has colored drawings adorning its walls. Here's one of the commonest sights in the Netherlands: bicycles. Close to the station, this one is the Black station, and more bicycles elsewhere in the city. Here you have the metro, and then here is the Ahoy, a hall for events and concerts. This here is an emblem of Feyenoord football team, the biggest team in the city. It won the UEFA Cup twice in the past. This is one of the streets in the city where a visitor could go for a drink. There are also a variety of great restaurants in the city. This is another landmark structure, the new Rotterdam Central Station or Central Station, completed in early 2014. Here is the Holland Casino building not far from the Central Station. With this picture, I hereby end the quick tour of Rotterdam City. Now let's go back to my journey. After 3 hours driving through the Netherlands and Belgium, the cars came to a standstill on the highway in Belgium leading to France. By then I was about 35 or 40 minutes from my destination. I would remain on this highway section for about 2 hours. This was a picture I took after 2 hours of traffic standstill on this highway A16, or also known as the E40. It was a front view, while this one was the back view. Here you can imagine what I was going through, sitting there for about 2 hours. This here is the Belgian-French border. The board to the right, blue one, with Belgium on it, tells you are entering Belgian territory. You see, here there isn't any border crossing because both countries are EU members. For some time, this Mini was trailing behind me, and at that time I took the previous pictures. One of the guys in the car came and spoke to me, asking about what the problem was on the highway. I didn't know, and so he went ahead and inquired elsewhere and came back with the news that there was customs strike in France. That explains it all. The waiting continued for a while before I saw the last of this Mini. See what happens? And it was gone. The guy in the Mini had said they were going to take the crossing at Calais. Mine would be at Dunkirk. Calais has a number of options, which include the underground or shuttle train through the tunnel, unlike Dunkirk, which only has the ferry. For a few minutes after that, this lorry or truck would be the next vehicle behind me. Here I bumped into French traffic police with the inner lane closed, and they were indicating we follow the outer lane. Then all of a sudden, the traffic started moving faster. I thought then it must be a good sign, some good news. was happening again. It slowed down. Then I noticed something. We were in fact exiting the highway. What a surprise. Where we were going at that moment, I had no idea. But I was hoping the new route would take me straight to Dunkirk.
Go round the roundabout, then take the motorway.
There is a roundabout there, next to the two police officers and the van. The navigator was telling me to go around it and get back onto the highway. He was obviously confused.
Go round the roundabout. The traffic kept going on at a slow pace, edging towards who knows where. It came to a standstill here, and by then it was already past 6 p.m. CET time. I had left the Netherlands with a full tank, but now here I am, 6 hours later, with about 3/4 of the fuel capacity used. I started getting worried about where to fuel. In normal circumstances, half the tank, which is about 25 liters, would take me up to the ferry terminal, and the other half would take me from Dover to Cambridgeshire. And then we came upon a second roundabout, and it was here that I learned about the fate of the journey and where I should go.
I am going to Dunkirk.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You go to Belgium, okay?
That's
And you
right.
yes. the next one, you go to Belgium and then you can go to Dunkerque, okay?
Okay.
Oh my lord, I couldn't believe what I heard from those two officers. They were telling me to go back into Belgium and drive from there to Dunkirk using another route. I've never done that before. How in the hell was I gonna do it? At this point, I've already turned full circle onto the highway and driving back to Belgium. Unbelievable. The next thing that came to my mind was stopping somewhere and asking someone. I didn't know which route to take to Dunkirk. That was the problem. I thought the navigator could take me back onto the same route, the same highway, and I could be stuck there for another 2 hours. I didn't want that to happen. Look at all those lorries. Some, if not all, are going to be sent back to Belgium. As I kept going, driving into Belgium, I saw on a signboard the name Dunkerque. It's another town in Belgium. And suddenly it occurred to me that the police officers might have heard, they might have thought I was going to Dunkerque. Then I was like, oh, then I should be going back. But I needed to ask someone to be sure. Then somewhere on a section of this highway with a crossing, I saw a police officer standing. What a relief. There's someone I can finally ask. Listen to what he has to say.
Sorry. Over
Was he panicking? Come on, man. What a rude, unhelpful officer. He dares call himself a public servant. It's not a normal day, the roads are closed. He should expect confused motorists. Of course, No one would stop in the middle of such a road under normal circumstances. There is a situation, you should work with people, help people, whether he believes in heaven or hell. I'm a visitor. I'm driving a foreign car. Brexit, is that what it's all about? With the UK expected to be out of the EU in 3 weeks' time. A UK number plate and a Brexit strike. Oh Lord, what a bad combination. His colleagues are helpful elsewhere, but here he is, so rude. What a shame. I did adjust my navigator to an alternative route to Dunkirk, and I just kept driving. Here I'm still on the same highway, and I've just reached an intersection that would take me out of it. Look, a helpful officer, I think. Following the navigator, I just drove on, and the roundabout that I came upon brought me to this road with a canal to the side. And somewhere I saw a fuel station. What a relief. At that point, the car had just about a quarter of its fuel capacity, and most importantly, I could ask someone at last about the route to Dunkirk. I could also use the loo. I've been driving since about 12 p.m. The time on the screen is now 6:31 p.m. Can you imagine that? Not visiting a toilet in such a long time. Ten minutes later, I have a full tank, an empty bladder, and I'm armed with information about the route to Dunkirk. I thought I had re-entered French territory, but inside I found a group of people speaking Flemish, which is understandable by anyone who speaks Dutch. The attendant at the counter told me to follow that route I had used, which would lead me straight on to Dunkirk. had not eaten anything since 12 p.m. and for a drink I had a sip or two of water only. After leaving the fuel station, I decided to eat something and drink water. This is it. That was a Belgian-made bar of chocolate, and I had this water with me from the UK. I've always been careful not to drink much on long journeys because of the toilet issue. Will I reach my destination, the Dunkirk ferry terminal, without any problems? Find out in the next video. Enjoy the rest of the route, which I would use to re-enter French territory. If you are to travel between the UK and Europe, you're unlikely to use this one because it's slower than the highway.